Thanks for tuning in. This is the best of 2025.
Surrender is supposed to look like there's this big thing that's coming. There's this big thing in front of me, but I know my God is bigger. So I'm going to hand it over to you so that you're responsible for the thing. And you tell me what parts of it you need me to enact here in human form, but the rest of it is going to be yours. And yes, I understand it to be true that some of the things that I enacted in the human form were some of the things that helped for this situation to come to its successful conclusion at the end. But it wasn't until I said, you take it because I don't know what else to do. But what if I started out the process that way? You take it because I know that you're going to do this the way that you can handle the burden and I can do the obedient task that you give me. And then another piece of this surrender thing that I know that I've been doing wrong is that there's a part of me that from my childhood just wanted to be the good girl, the girl that does everything right and gets the sticker or the gold star like we used to get in elementary school. So if you do everything that you're told and if you do it in a way, even if you don't believe it fully, but if you do it in a way where no one has to be burdened or bothered by you, then you're perceived as somebody who's good. But when it comes to your relationship with God, that's not what makes you the good girl in his eyes. It doesn't make you the good person to say, I'll handle this on my own and I won't bother you with it until I have no more that I am capable of doing. It makes you the person who believes in his covering, who has faith in who he is and what he does, to hand it over to him first and say, I know that you are stronger than this. I have faith that you're going to do what you say you'll do. And I also want to be fully covered under these circumstances and believe that you will give me the steps in order for me to remain obedient for the things that I actually need to do, as opposed to praying over this thing once I've already done all the things that I can possibly do. Watch people, observe their behaviors, and understand what it is that you're dealing with based on the way that they move in the world. When you're in toxic relationships, these categories can be so eye-opening because sometimes you just ask yourself, why does he do that? Or why does she do that? And then you don't really have the answer. But oftentimes what we can learn is that if there's a repeated pattern, there's something historical underneath of that. And we can tell ourselves the truth about the situation by watching that pattern and understanding what it means. And we can do the same thing for ourselves. If we consistently show up in a way that's kind of like a toxic behavior inside of the spaces that we're in, then we can tell ourselves, oh, I see why I keep doing that. Not everyone will love with the depth that you love. Not everyone will care with your intensity. Not everyone is going to think with your mindset. And most importantly, not everyone will act with the values that you have. And when you think about that and you think about how everyone has their own unique experience, everyone has different parents, different family lineage. They grew up in different places. They've had different circumstances. They went to different schools. They were surrounded by different people. They had different friends. They were in a state of survival, whatever it is. Those people are going to navigate the world thinking differently than you are, perceiving things differently than you do. And so if you're sitting in a place where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating because it's so clear to me that this is evident and they should see it, you're going to sit in a place of frustration for a really long time. You know, something that I have heard from several different people, but I heard it from my dad first whenever I was breaking free from a toxic relationship. And he was like, you have to stop thinking that he navigates the world the same way you do. He doesn't think like you. He doesn't want to be like you. He's not looking for everyone's best interest in the situation. And once we truly accept that that is the reality of the situation, some people are mean. Some people are jealous. Some people want to see your demise. Some people are so focused on operating in their ego that their status and what they need is far greater than anyone else's in the room, even their own children. Some people were raised in such a way that their pain point is so deep and their wound is oozing so much that they can't even give to the world, and all they can do is operate in a space where they're taking. Some of the people listening to this video might be those people, and that might be the way that you were always taught to be. And no matter how you grew up, no matter what thought processes that were handed down to you, no matter what mindsets you inherited or values that were given to you, you are in a space where you can determine if you still connect with those things, but then also hold space for other people to be different than you. The greatest influence that you will ever receive in the natural world is from the opinions, advice, and conversations that you have with the 5 people that are closest to you. And I can tell you that I have accounts of people who will say that they were in relationship before with somebody who didn't believe in any of their dreams, who shot down everything that they said that they were going to do and told them that it would never work. And then they've been in relationship with people who've been like, hey, what's the worst that could happen? So it fails, like, at least try it. Like, you have that entrepreneurial spirit, go out there and try something with it. And they've said that shift in the people around them believing that they can and seeing the good in them is what really has shifted their focus and really changed their thought process of how much they have the capacity to be able to do. People around them are speaking life into them. And so if you're in a space where you're looking around at the tribe around you and you're like, oh, that one's always in tune with drama, and this is not judging people. Please trust me when I say it is not a judgment of people to take inventory of the things that surround you and say, this is no for me. Because a lot of those relationships that you've had for eons, maybe they're not anymore. If that person is cheating on their spouse, they're probably not for you. You can speak life into them that you want to, but what are they giving to you? And so when you look at the people around you and you say, well, this one is always in drama, this one always has something negative to say, this one is, content with being stagnant and not doing anything different with his or her life, and they're struggling, like, fed into these people and poured into these people. And I saw this video earlier this week and it was so good. It said the empty is because you're pouring into other people. And scripture never tells you to pour, it tells you to overflow. So your cup has to be full of God. Your cup has to be full with the people around you. Your cup has to be filled by yourself. And whatever overflows is what the other people get. But if you're so empty and deteriorating on the inside, you can't overflow into the people around you. And the same is true of the people around you. And so if you are a reflection of the 5 closest people to you, and those people have terrible hearts, and they're cold, and they're ugly, and they're not healthy, and they're not helping the people around them, and they're servers, which is a clear indication of red flags, and like all of these things, it may not be who you are, but it's also not pushing you to be. What is the difference between love and manipulation? And one of the indicators of that, something that is tried and true and can 100% help you to see that, is knowing when somebody is in it for you and is looking for what's in it for you, then that's probably somebody who actually loves you. They're trying to benefit and add to your life. If somebody's in your situation looking for what's in it for them, then that's probably somebody who's trying to take from you. And that could very well be a toxic situation that you're in. Because love isn't, especially romantic love, love isn't going into a relationship, annihilating someone else's life, pillaging their entire existence to get your own needs met, and then leaving them in a heap of tears in the corner. That will never be love. Love looks like finding them in that heap of tears in the corner and wanting to give them everything that you have to rehabilitate them and to love them back to a place where they can experience joy every day. Now, does that mean that you're there to fix people? No. But it means that you want to. You find yourself wanting to do anything that will make them experience joy and feel better. And that's the same type of relationship that you should be experiencing if you want to be experiencing what true love is. Love is also not control, guilt, and shame. Oftentimes, when you're in a toxic space, the person will say, I love you so much, and they'll try to control who you're talking to, what you're wearing, how you're moving in the world, the way you think about yourself, which is a huge one. And then they'll say that they're doing it in the name of love, but what they're doing it really, the intention behind doing it is so that love won't leave them. They want to make sure that you stay. So the things that they're doing are to ensure that you will. Oftentimes people say, why would somebody want you to feel bad if they want you to stay? Wouldn't they think that that would be the reason why you would leave? Well, actually, no, because if they convince you that the truth is that if you left, no one else would want you, then of course you're going to be convinced to stay because you don't want to be alone. So they'll break down your self-esteem in ways that that's happening so that you will feel like no one else is going to want me, so I don't want to leave. And that's all control. They will coerce you into believing that you are the type of person that they're saying that you are so that you will stay with the type of person that they actually are. So we go through spaces and stages in our life where we are dealing with so much of everything else emotionally. We're dealing with other people's emotions, people we're in relationship with. We're dealing with our children's emotions. We're dealing with parents' emotions. We're dealing with things that emotionally affect us. And when we're doing that, it is a constant emotional labor. Like it is constantly draining you, even if you aren't 100% focused on it all the time. There's like tabs running in the background that are taking up your battery just like a computer. And you have to be able to close those tabs and identify how your emotional energy is being spent in spaces that maybe you don't necessarily need for it to be spent or even want for it to be spent. And if you're a highly feeling person like myself and you tend to feel deep emotion when it comes to your relationships and when it comes to the people that you experience on a day-to-day basis, when it comes to just what's going on in the state of the world, you have a very strong emotional reaction to those things. This isn't to say that you have to get rid of that emotional reaction, but it's to understand how constantly being in that state of dysregulated emotions will wear you down. It kind of looks like when you sometimes feel like you can go, 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 and then all of a sudden you hit a wall and you feel like you might need to lay in bed for days, but you're exhausted, but you're not exhausted in the physical sense. Like maybe you need some rest, but the rest that you need is detaching and being able to not have to emotionally consider all of the things that you've been considering. So we first need to understand that that constant emotional labor will wear you down. It will. There's no way around it. You can't be a highly feeling person and not experience some sort of fatigue from constantly dealing with emotional experiences. And yes, we're all going to have those emotional experiences, but we need to be able to deal with ourselves when we're emotionally exhausted. When you're sitting in pain, oftentimes you don't have all of those buckets to put things in. There's just this one big bucket of grief, and you're processing it while you're experiencing it, and you just have to process what you're going through at the time. And the reason that I figured that sharing that part with you guys would be helpful is because I know that we all have grief in our lives. Like death is a part of the human experience. It's a part of what we deal with as human beings, and it often feels like the worst part. And you know, when I knew that she was put on hospice care, there were so many thoughts that ran through my head. I believe God to be a miracle worker. I believe that he could have performed a miracle on her, but I also know that his will takes precedent over other things. And my human flesh says I hate that his will sometimes involves death because of the pain that it creates for the people who are here. But then there's also that spiritual part of me that knows that death is not the end, because he promises eternal life. And so that means that it's the end for our physical bodies, but there's going to be a reunion and a reuniting of the people that we love. So when we're thinking about the scapegoat, this is the person that is trying to break those generational cycles, and that the people who don't want the cycle to be broken look at as the troublemaker. So that's the scapegoat. And if you're that person who refuses to participate in things the way that they've always been and perpetuate the patterns of the relationships that you are a part of, whether they be family, whether they be friendships, whatever it is, then you're probably scapegoating it out in this world. And if you're the scapegoat because you're the cycle breaker, it's going to be a lonely road, because there are people inside of that system that you're trying to break the cycle of who want the system to remain the same, because that allows them to continue to operate the same. And their safety resides in being able to operate the way that they've always operated. And so they hope that you'll just keep the system the same way. But you have children or you have other people that are relying on you to break the cycle. And so you say, I really am no longer willing to continue to perpetuate the situation, because I know that if I do it, then my daughters will do it, and then their daughters will do it, and everybody will have this toxicity inside of their environment. And I refuse for that to be so for me. But the thing that you have to remember is that you can't expect people who don't even know that there's a cycle that needs to be broken to understand your plight to break the cycle. But the question that I think that we skip over when we're either trying to leave these circumstances, trying to get out of a friendship, or set boundaries around a relationship, the question that I think that we forget to ask ourselves is, what are we gaining by them staying? And the reason that I think that's such a powerful and important question is because I believe that's why it is so hard for us to let them and then make decisions based on the way they behave instead of trying to change them. Because we have to talk to ourselves and really ask ourselves the hard questions. And one of those questions is, who are you trying to change in your life because of what it means for you if they remain the same? Because we want to punish the other person for what we feel like they've either done to us or what we feel like they've been unwilling to do in the relationship. And when we do that, what happens is we foster this mindset of, I'm going to sit in my bitterness and make these rules around the relationship in my bitterness, and then put the label of boundaries on them because I'm trying to protect myself. But that's not boundaries. Boundaries are punishment if they are used in such a way to take something away from somebody because we don't like their behavior or the way they spoke or whatever. Boundaries then become a punishment for us because now we're sitting in the bitterness of that conversation. Like, we're sitting in the bitterness of having to put that punishment on another person. So boundaries used as a form of punishment don't just punish the other person, they punish us as well. So what does it look like when we're actually setting the boundary and we're not using it as a form of punishment? It looks like saying, if I'm trying to save and sustain this relationship, what are some things that I need to happen in order to make that happen?